This isn't just another graduation post. Instead, the purpose of this video is to give some honest advice to the younger version of myself. That 19-year-old guy who was lost and confused, didn't do the best in his hires, and didn't really know what to do with his life, and had just made the decision to go to Dundee University. This post is for him after recently graduating. I feel like I'm qualified to give advice to that younger version of myself, but anyone in that situation. The reason for that is I believe that the best person to help is usually you 5 years ago, because you have the result that that younger version of yourself wanted but didn't quite have. You're qualified to help since you've solved all the problems that person is about to face in his or her life. And as someone who has taken every opportunity at university and has changed the trajectory of my own life, I'm going to share with you exactly how I did that in this short presentation. So this is my blueprint, a blueprint for success at university. If you know someone at a similar stage of their life, maybe they're in your network or maybe they're in your family, share this with them because it might just change a path that they're on. So, how do you make the most out of university? This is a basic framework I have here of how I did it. As you can see, this is very basic. I'm going to go into more detail in a second, but your degree basically sets the foundation for what's to come. For me, it was business management. For you, it might be medicine, engineering, psychology, whatever that is. Your degree is 80%. That's your focus. You have to get the degree while you're at university. You want that first or that 2-1. Make sure you put the time in to get that, and you'll get a lot out of that, as we all know. For me, it was how can I add on to this? How can I add layers here where I can learn more skills, get more experience, and develop as a person? So the first thing I did was get involved in a sports committee. I'll go into more of my exact version of this in a second, and what clubs I actually joined and became president of, but it was getting involved in a sports committee. It was making that decision to go to the AGM. Well, before even going to the AGM, getting involved in the club, going to socials, getting to know people, building relationships with people, and actually just showing up. The second step was making the decision to go for the position. I know this can be hard. You've got to give a presentation or a speech in front of 40, 50 people. It's uncomfortable, but making the decision to do that, to go for that committee position, and then you'll get the benefits of what comes with that position after you make that decision. But it's making that decision first of all. The same with the society committee. I'll talk about the differences in a second, but just making that decision and having that belief that this is the right thing to do. I am going to learn a lot from this, and it's an opportunity worth taking. Third was I always wanted a part-time job that linked to my degree, where I wasn't just working for money, but I was obviously working for money, but I was getting skills, meeting new people, and taking myself out of my comfort zone. So this is very much a basic framework of what I'm about to dive into. Now, for me, you can see at the top, we still have the degree, but what did that degree come with? It came with a fourth-year consultancy project, as you can see here. This allowed me to write 8,000 words, research an area that I was interested in, and dive deeper into that. With the sports club committee, I started off going for the Dundee University Ski and Snowboard Club, where I started off as social sec, then moved to vice president in my third year and president in my final year. And the things I learned from this club and got to be involved in were amazing. The people I met, we got to organise a 215 person ski trip to the French Alps every year. I was involved in 3, and it was amazing. I'm going to go into more detail about the skills I learned through each position in a sec, but this is kind of an overview of what I did. In my final year, I went for the president of the Marketing Society Committee. This was a society that was just coming back. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't established while I was at university. So the business school were wanting to bring it back. And I thought, what better time than to go for Pres, as a lot of the things I had done in my degree and these extra curriculum clubs and activities and committee positions really evolved around marketing. So I thought that was a great opportunity to take that forward and see what I could do. I also worked at the Centre for Entrepreneurship for 2 years as the creative content officer. This really took me out of my comfort zone because I had never made content online. I had never put my face on camera, and it was really new to me. And the people I met, the entrepreneurs, the things that I got to be involved in were just amazing. Similarly, I started my own business in that second year summer. I started my own marketing agency. I spent about £8,000 over the course of the last 2-3 years on my own education. This included books, courses, and mentorship to learn these digital skills. That allowed me to get my first client, start my own business, and take that forward after university, which is what I'm doing now. More detail on this later. This also led to extra opportunities. Because you're doing all these things, you become known, you're seen as reliable, so people will start being like, well, we got an event here, we'd love you to speak at, or, you know, we're doing this project, we'd love you to help out. So you really get a chance to get known, build relationships, and opportunities come with that. Opportunities where you can learn, grow, and develop as a person. Now, I'm going to go into more detail here on what this actually looked like. It's great doing all these things, but looking back, what did I learn from getting involved in all these societies and clubs and part-time jobs, starting my own business and doing consultancy projects in my 4th year? At the top left is something that I wrote in my human resource management essay in 3rd year, and I thought it was applicable to this. And I said, developing employees' knowledge, skills, and abilities in turn enables employees to use them for the benefit of the firm. Therefore, in doing this, I essentially leveraged the opportunities provided at Dundee University to develop my knowledge, skills, and ability, things that I didn't have before, for the benefit of my own business. You see, going all in on my marketing agency after university has been the plan for a few years now, so I really had to make sure I was the person that could take that forward. But doing all this extra stuff at university, not just my degree, all these extra things allowed me to learn and get exposed to all these different environments and learn these different skills and meet these different people and just grow as a person and develop myself to the point where now that I've graduated, I believe I have the skills necessary in order for me to succeed with this business. And whether you want to start your own business one day, or you just want a really great job and you don't want to be applying to hundreds of jobs, you want to kind of stand out, this right here is going to force you to stand out. Because compare this to someone who just has the degree and maybe they did a dissertation, compared to someone who did those things and did well in those things, but also had president positions, jobs, part-time jobs that linked to their degrees, where they just exceeded expectations, learned more things, learned new skills, and developed in those roles. Things like communication, video editing, coaching, consulting, and teamwork, and so on and so forth. Who's going to get the job? Who's going to stand out? Who's going to get the interview? So whatever it is you plan on doing after university, by doing this stuff, it's just going to allow you to stand out and increase your chances of getting that job you want. Or if you do want to start your own business, this will give you a solid foundation to build off after you graduate. So to dive into these things a little bit deeper, 4th year consultancy project, I learned skills like research. I had to interview short-term lettings businesses in St Andrews. Got to write 8,000 words on one project, which I had never done before. And, you know, it was a piece of work that took me 6 months to submit and hand in. I got to read a whole lot more than that. And I got to write it in a way that was persuading my lecturers and my advisor that this was a good business to start, and this was a viable market to go in. And this was going to work. So I learned so many things from that. I could really talk about each of these areas in my life, each of these buckets in so much detail. Next up, we have DUS president. DUS was the Dundee University Ski and Snowboard Club. I got to learn things like leadership. This was the first time I was in a proper leadership role, where I was in charge of a committee of 8 and I was the president. And if I failed, or if we didn't achieve the things we wanted to, that was coming back to me. So I had to learn how to build a culture where everyone could thrive, how to communicate a vision so everyone was moving, rowing in the same direction. And we had massive success. We organized a ski trip where we had over 250 students go to the French Alps for a week and have the best time ever. You can ask them, not me. Digital marketing. Obviously, marketing is a common theme here, but we had to get our message out to our audience, to students, to let them know that there were socials and events and ski trips and races and training and all these things. For £50 we could get our message out to 20,000 students. Some of our organic posts hit 18k views, and in doing that consistently within the marketing and media team, we won the Graduate Association Award for promotion for becoming the biggest club at Dundee University and having the best promotion. That took us 2 years to win that. So all that work that we put in terms of video, ads, content, all these different things, in-person events, freshers, fairs, allowed us to win that and have the biggest impact on campus. Project management was massive. You know, we were organising a ski trip to the French Alps. That took a lot of work. There was a lot of problems that came our way, and we had to solve them one by one and make sure that that ski trip went smoothly. And it did. No one got injured, thankfully. The Marketing Society, I was president of that in my final year. Like I said, that wasn't a society from my time at university. That was brought back in my final year. So I got to lead that, I got to be president of that, and I got to set the vision. So I had to try and figure out, what is this society about? There's already a business society, a finance society, other societies that are similar. How can we make ourselves different? So our purpose within UDMS was to close the gap between marketing and education and marketing and practice. And we did that by bringing agency owners, agencies, marketing specialists, founders who were at the forefront of digital marketing to come in and talk to us about strategy, tactics, and what we're working then and there, which was beneficial for us all. Obviously, we had to get our message out there, so that involved me jumping on camera and communicating our vision and our purpose to Dundee University students. So content creation was a huge part of it here. Event planning, obviously we had to plan the events and get the speakers in. Competition organisation. We ran a 5 days in Italy competition where students had to submit a marketing proposal, a strategy, and pitch that strategy to a property owner who owned an 8-bedroom property in Italy, and that strategy was to help him market that property better and increase bookings, very much similar to what I do with my agency. But these students got experience in creating a marketing strategy, putting that into a proposal, and actually pitching that, trying to sell that to a real life client. Which was great experience and like real experience as well. And the winner of that competition got to spend 5 days in that property. So very similar to what I do with my agency, but we got to give other people that experience of taking themselves out of their comfort zone and writing that proposal and pitching in front of a judge or a client even. Like I said, I was creative content officer of the Centre for Entrepreneurship. I learned so much here in terms of communication, talking on camera. This was the first time I talked on camera. So it was really hard. I had to get over limiting self-beliefs and actually put myself on camera because it was my job to communicate our initiatives and events and competitions that we were running. Public speaking, I had to introduce people coming in to do masterclasses. And I was the host for the Path for Potential podcast, where my job was to interview successful entrepreneurs who had either sold their business or were running really successful businesses, and I got to find out about their story and how they got to where they are, which was really cool and great experience for me to understand the challenges and obstacles along their journey and what they did to solve them and what they did to persist through them to get where they are. Video editing was massive here because I had to put those videos that I was creating out online, so I had to edit them together. A great skill to learn. Coaching and consulting. Through everything I did, I was quite good at marketing. So these startup businesses and entrepreneurs that were coming in, I got to talk to them about marketing strategy. I got to deliver some presentations, what I would do if I was in their situation where you don't have much of a budget and you kind of got to do it organically or for free, or how you can get more out of less ad spend, things like that. And I built loads of great relationships with those entrepreneurs, people that are still friends today. And teamwork, of course. That wasn't just me doing that. It was a collective of a student team and a staff team that were all working together to put these events and competitions on throughout the year. Finally, my own journey through entrepreneurship and starting that business. Some of the skills I learned there were sales. I landed my first client. I had to create a presentation, a proposal. I had to have that conversation and essentially sell to them to the point where they started paying me a monthly retainer. Then I got my second client and my third client. I kind of built up from there and created my own process. But I took myself out of my comfort zone, had those conversations, took those phone calls and landed those deals, which was very rewarding, but something that I had never done before, something that I'm much more confident at now. But at the start, you just have to be courageous and do it, just do it. And that's going to be a common theme throughout this. Pitching, presentation, marketing for myself and creating content, but also, of course, marketing for clients and building those systems, whether that's top of funnel, organic, where we've got millions of views for clients to get their product or service known, or middle funnel, where it's kind of emails, lead generation, that sort of thing, or customer retention at that bottom of the funnel. Doing that for clients and now doing that for myself now that I have the time. Advertising for lead generation and system building, very much for my own business. But if I want to build a business that's going to hit the goals that I want to hit, I have to build systems, not just around marketing and sales, but around fulfillment and operations and finance and accounting and all these different areas of business. So I've learned so much through that journey alone. But as you can see, altogether, these skills kind of transferred. What I was learning in my business, I could apply to my job at the Center for Entrepreneurship. All the marketing that I learned there, I could bring more awareness to the clubs and societies I was president of, which just led to more people getting involved and growing those events and ski trips and races and communities within. But these opportunities allowed me to take myself out of my comfort zone, learn skills that I didn't know, and just solve one problem at a time, one challenge at a time. It was chaotic in third and fourth year, definitely, but looking back, it was so rewarding because, you know, I got to learn all these skills, I got to meet all these people, friends for life, and I challenged myself, I took myself out of my comfort zone, and that led me to a position where that's just the norm now. I'm kind of comfortable being uncomfortable. So they all kind of link together and will just allow you to grow and develop at an exponential rate. The top skills that I kind of learned here that I'm applying to my business now are leadership, digital marketing, sales, and communication. But as you can see, there's a lot more skills that go into this. So what does my life look like now? Now that I've graduated, these areas of my life look a little bit different. And like I said, it was really chaotic at times and sometimes stressful doing all this stuff and having all these responsibilities. But now that I've graduated university, there's a lot more time to focus on one thing, and that focus is the business and growing this business and getting more clients and getting better client results and growing this to where we want to take it. As you can see here, I have more time for my own health and fitness. I'm going to start a run club, but more on that in another video perhaps. But that's something that I maybe ignored through my time at university, especially when you're going out and you have so many responsibilities and you're always here, there and everywhere. So now I have more time to focus on my health and fitness and eat better and work out once a day. That will just allow the best version of myself to show up for my business and on camera. Relationships and family, I can dedicate more time to those things. Adventure sports, I'll spend weekends skiing, snowboarding, foiling, surfing, and living the life I want to live. Education, I'm always going to be a student. There's still so much to learn and so much to grow. So I'm just going to tackle that head on and continue learning and growing as a person. And wealth and freedom. As you can see here, the business is the center because I feel like the business is a vehicle to allow me to live the life I want to live. And that's a life of freedom and adventure. So they all interconnect, but my life looks very different now. And I'm excited for the future and to focus on one thing and put all my time and attention into growing this agency and getting the best results for our clients and growing myself and becoming that leader that I know I can be. So this is what I call the student growth framework. It will probably change over time. I could probably get a better name for it, but it's my blueprint for success at university. This is simply how I went from failing my hires in school to redefining who I am and becoming unrecognizable after graduating Dundee University. Without these failures early on, I don't think I would have had the determination and persistence to get through those difficult periods. At the time, I was just looking for opportunities to change and grow as a person. However, now that I put it into a framework, it all makes a little bit more sense, and I hope it does for you as well. So those of you who are venturing down a similar path, I hope you find it useful, but most importantly, I hope you implement some of this into your own life. If you were in a situation like I was, where you're maybe 18, 19, maybe 20, 21, and you're a bit lost and confused, and you've maybe had a few failures and you've gone down the wrong path, you can apply this to your life. Whether you're at university and going to follow a similar thing to what I did in terms of sports club, society, and part-time job that links to your degree, and great. But even if you're not at university, you can organize these different areas of your life and join communities and places where you can learn and develop these skills yourself. So yeah, if you're watching this and you know someone who's at a similar stage in their life, maybe they're in your family or network, share this with them, because it might just change the path that they're on, like it did for me. Like I said, I wouldn't have had the chance to go all in on my business if I hadn't, firstly, made the decision to go to Dundee University, and secondly, taken every opportunity that was handed to me on a plate, because they really are at university. You just have to spot them and take them. These opportunities challenged me and allowed me to change and grow into the person that I am today, an entrepreneur, you could say. So finally, one last thing. If I was to mention everyone who supported me along the way, this video would be twice as long. Many of you are in my network and perhaps you're watching this video. So if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunities to challenge myself, to grow as a person, and for supporting me along the way. I'll forever be grateful for that, as you helped take this young man who was lost and confused and a little bit of a failure and loser to now this man on the right who's confident, has a high self-esteem and self-belief, and who's going all in and taking all the risks right now and starting his own business, but has the skills to do so and the work ethic to make this work. So without you guys, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you and, reflecting such positively on my experience at Dundee University. So thank you.